everything has its place. Even if you know it's fake, it kind of plants a seed in your brain. If you're already heading into a spiral of negativity, it's just not healthy for you. It is my only place that I'm begging everyone not to touch, and they will get into trouble if they touch it. I think the way that the world has evolved into this like consumerism and instant gratification is not helping.
On this week's episode of The Engaging Marketeer, I am taking a massive risk because I am interviewing Korina Venn, who helps people declutter their lives, and I am probably one of the biggest cluttermongers and hoarders you could ever possibly meet. I have thousands, no word of a lie, thousands of transformers in my house. If Korina saw my house, she would have a field day. So let's see whether I own up to being a massive hoarder and what Korina says about clutter and your mental state and living in a nice, clean, perfect home. I can see from your background, as we discussed in the preamble to this, that you live with an artist and you're in a sort of an artist environment there, and you being somebody that declutters people's homes, those two don't really mesh. How does that work for you, being a declutterer but living with a messy artist?
Well, I love him, so that's a bonus.
That goes a long way, doesn't it? I find my experience that can only go so far, though.
Yeah, he is messy, but messy for me, you know. He's quite neat in his own kind of way, you know, because that's just the way things flow in his studio. So I'm not allowed to touch anything in his studio. The fact that I'm using his computer is a huge treat. But it's actually a calming space. I think we mentioned it yesterday. So even though for me it's a little bit cluttered, it's a calming state for him. And then when I'm in it, I feel calm because he's calm, which is very interesting because when I do go and see clients, it's not about what I want. It's about what they want. It's about what's going to make them happy and comfortable in their home because they essentially are the ones that are going to be living there, not me. So
I know about the calming thing because I experienced this myself and I'll talk about that in a bit. But is there a difference between somebody's home that's cluttered and an artist studio that's cluttered? Is there a different kind of clutter that you're amongst now that an artist has that is calming?
It is very different because it's not really cluttered. I mean, you know, it depends on what I'm looking around actually to see what I would change, but everything has its place. And that I think is the key and what I'm trying to teach people or to help people, because very often and I don't have a problem with social media. I have a problem with people going onto Instagram or any kind of social media platform and looking at something and saying, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure because my house doesn't look like that. Or I'm such a failure because I'm not fit and trim. Or I'm such a failure because I don't eat this kind of way, you know. And so we look at it in a holistic kind of way because what works for me might not work for you and so forth. So as long as everything has its place and it's not dangerous. So there's no wires on the floor, you're not tripping, you're not hurting yourself. My husband knows exactly where everything is. So even though I might come in and think, oh, it's a little bit of a mess, if I move a pencil, he'll know that I've moved his pencil because it's his domain and he's comfortable, and therefore it allows him to be creative, which is what he uses the space for. So an organizer, in my mind, a declutterer, is not there to come into your environment and change it so that you don't feel comfortable and you feel like a guest in your own space. You know.
So because I'm quite creative. Well, I think I'm creative. Other people might disagree with me, but I think I'm creative. I think it's a creative space I'm in right now. You can't see what's behind the camera. There's a lot. You would not like it, I feel. Is there a difference between what an artist considers clean or decluttered or what somebody else might consider? I mean, do people have different perceptions of what clutter is?
I mean, even I had different perceptions. So I did a short course a while ago on hoarding disorder, which seems to be growing in the UK and all other countries, and it's
linked a lot of TV programs about it.
It's
people
TV programs, yeah. I don't like to watch those programs actually because I'm quite sensitive and I just feel really bad for the people.
I feel they do tend to make the person that is the hoarder, make them the villain of the piece, as though
I know, and
we're
it's
laughing
so
at them in a way.
it upsets me because it's so not true, and it's there's a bigger picture behind everybody, right? It's not just what you see. But anyway, there's 9 stages, I think, if I've listened to the training correctly, 9 stages to hoarding, for example. And so for me, a person's house, a hoarded person's house, was on level 3, but actually, it's only really considered a danger on level 8. So I was even shocked with that. So what I consider maybe too much is not too much for somebody else. And it's also important to understand the story behind the person. And so when I first got into this, which was very interesting, I thought I was going to, my clients were going to be footballers' wives, and I was going to put labels on everything. It was all going to be pretty. I don't even have a label maker. I mean, I want one because it's just a nice gadget to have, but I don't have the need for it yet, because there's no point in decantering all your pastas and your ice and having beautiful labels when you can't get to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, and I have found in my experience, most of my clients are not at that level of needing the labels. And I actually don't like labels for myself because I get bored quite easily. So if I use a beautiful jar for something this month, next month I want to reorganize my kitchen, and then I don't want to use it again. So I don't believe in labels for myself. I mean, they're very popular and they're pretty. So again, it depends on your client. I won't go to a client and say, I'm not going to put labels on your items, because if that's what they want and helps them, then why not? But your
You,
question was about when
the
is it too
different
much?
types of idea of clutter, yeah, from one
Yeah.
person's
So
version to somebody else's.
So, for example, I have a client who is just such a beautiful person. They're all beautiful. I always tell them they need to write books. I'm just fascinated with all their stories. And she's a very intelligent, very dynamic, professional lady. She's got mobility issues, so she's not able to sort her clothes out. She's got the most exquisite clothes. She's got very good taste. And she said, "Oh, I thought you were going to come and ask me to get rid of all my stuff because I've got so many of each." So I said, "Well, we're not there yet, number one. Number two, you have the space. So why must I make you get rid of something if you have the space and if you don't want to get rid of it?" So I don't know. People have this like misconception of what it is that I'm going to do. And that's why I think it's important to meet the person before, to explain to them, like, what is it that you think I'm going to do? And actually, this is what I am actually going to do. And and you have to have a relationship with that person. So I would normally suggest we have a telephonic conversation, or I come see you for half an hour, because it is such an intimate relationship you're entering with somebody. They're quite exposed. It's quite vulnerable for many. If you don't get along, then I'm not the right organizer for you. I know I don't get offended by it because, yeah, just certain people click and certain people don't. So yeah, I love it though. It's fascinating.
You mentioned a few moments ago about social media, people looking at social media and seeing what they see as an ideal home or an ideal living environment, and they're comparing their home to that, and it's not a healthy perspective. What's your thoughts on that, on how social media is determining people's mental state, people's happiness on their own environments?
I I think people are becoming a lot more alienated, and we're supposed to be living in communion with others. We're supposed to have a village, which we don't have, and adding social media to that creates a lot more of alienated people, and it's fake. I think people have to just remind themselves that a lot of it is fake. And now with AI, you have just no idea what's fake and what's not fake. And the thing is, it's just not reality. So it creates false expectations for yourself. And of course, you're going to let yourself down. And then it kind of becomes a vicious circle of letting yourself down, depression, and so forth. So I always tell people, including myself, if I'm feeling low, if I'm feeling a little bit sad, just stay off social media, because it's just, even if you know it's fake, it kind of plants a seed in your brain. If you're already heading into a spiral of negativity, it's just not healthy for you. So very often, I've got 2 boys, by the way, and an artist as a husband. So can you imagine? But
I
so
can imagine, yeah.
you can imagine,
I've got two boys as well.
and I am a little bit extreme, so I've had to lower my expectations so that I can have a happy home.
Yeah.
And I've also had to pick a place, and that is my Pinterest place. So it's my coffee station. It is my only place that I'm begging everyone not to touch. And they will get into trouble if they touch it. Because when I'm feeling sad, I go and I think, that gives me great pleasure, you know? And then I have to go around the house and pick up the socks and the cushions and the whatever, you know. So it's about keeping it real, and it's not just about your home, it's about your diet. So I do like to look at it at a holistic way. So for example, you get a lot of people that advertise these Mediterranean diets, and you'll live until you're 90 and this person in this island, and I'm thinking, okay, let's go to this island and let's see what other variables are actually affecting the fact that they are living such a healthy, positive life. So they have no social media, probably they live in a small village, they have siesta time or whatever you call it in Greece, they eat foods that they have grown from their own, you know, ground, or they eat meat from the cows that they, you know, have as part of their family until they decide it's
So
time
there's
for them
no
to eat it.
preservatives, nothing
Yeah,
artificial.
yeah. So you can't compare, you know, and I think you have to be real. You can do the best that you can with what you have. I think that's the whole idea. And just chill. Just, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. If you decide that you want to change your home, it's a process depending on the person. You got to change your mindset, like with everything else. It has to become a lifestyle that you can sustain, not a lifestyle that I can sustain, because I'm a very different person to you, Darren, and to my husband, and, you know. So, and then also, if I go into a home with a family, everybody has to be on board, because I don't want to go and sort somebody's life out and then the family's not on board and then I cause a divorce. You know, these things are real, they can
Yeah.
happen. You know, it doesn't take much sometimes to just fuel, you know, fuel things. So what I find fascinating about this is my ignorance initially when I got into it, and how much I've learned, and how much I've grown, and how much I can still grow, and how passionate I am about it, and how I have made a difference in so many people's lives. And also by building that relationship. And I'm not a therapist, I actually want to do a course because I think it will be very beneficial. And by building that relationship, you are able to tell people things like, your husband's deceased, you're dealing with a lot of trauma, but now you are spending so much money on just trying to fill that void. And by the time you're 60, you're not going to have any of that money that your husband has so thoughtfully left for you. Can I arrange that a financial advisor can come and chat to you? You know, so that's one of the things I've done. And you create this relationship, they trust you, and then you're able to help them. You're able to see these gaps, because it's all wonderful to get your house looking amazing, but then when you run out of money and you spiral into depression and whatever, what's going to happen to your house? So, and that's why I say it's a holistic approach. It's not just going in and sorting out a room or a cupboard or, I don't know, a certain space and then leaving. Yeah, I just, it's also dangerous. You don't want to become a crutch either, you know.
Yeah.
Because at some point you have to say, okay, you actually no longer need me now. You
Yeah.
can do this by yourself,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
have to do it so it's sustainable for them to continue
It
doing it.
has to be sustainable, but you also can't just say, okay, thank you. Well, it was really lovely meeting you. You know, good luck. You've got to tell them, I'm here for you if you need, you know, and then kind of wean them off you. It's,
Yeah,
it's
I was
quite
just
funny.
thinking, Ween, it's almost like an addict, isn't it? That you have to take them off it slowly. You can't just go cold turkey and expect them to do it,
You
and
can't,
they've got
and
to be able to
also
do it without you there.
exactly. It also depends on the person again. It always depends on the person and their unique situation. Yeah, and their background, and you just have to listen. You just have to listen to them and not project your own clarity or your own, oh, I would like that coffee table. You can make suggestions, you know, but it's not about going and making things look pretty. It's about going and making things practical and sustainable, and then leaving them with a feeling that I can do this. I love folding clothes. I know people think I'm crazy. It makes me calm. I absolutely love it, and I get so excited when I come up with a new way of folding.
That
And
makes you calm, folding clothes.
I love folding, and I fold everybody's clothes differently so that when I put them away, I know which
Wow.
pair of socks go where. I
That's got to be
don't
one of the strangest things I've ever heard on like 3 years of doing these podcasts. I've
really.
got to hand it
I
to you.
love
That
it.
yeah.
It gives me calmness, and it's like art for me. It's art because I can make like a
Okay.
robe look pretty, you know, and and the nice thing about folding clothes is for the clothes that you don't use often, but you don't want to get rid of, you can use them as part of your accessories in your room, or I don't know, like recently I helped a client, and she had two bathrobes. So the one we just made this beautiful bow on, and we left it in her bathroom as like a display next to her soaps and whatever. So it's crazy,
Okay.
I know, but it's about thinking out the box.
Hmm.
It doesn't always have to be folded and in your cupboard. It
Hmm.
can be displayed if you love it, but it doesn't fit you anymore, but you don't want to give it away. Or if you've got those pair of ridiculous stilettos that you can't wear around where I live because you'll kill yourself.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fascinating. It's also fascinating. It's a cultural thing. You got to get into the culture of people and how different they are culturally and
Hmm.
work with that as well. So it's been interesting coming from South Africa.
I'm interested to hear about your coffee station. So you're living with an artist who is obviously a little bit messy, because I know what artists are like. He may be a very tidy artist, but it's relative to an artist. And
Relative.
two boys who, no matter how neat boys are, they're messy for anyone else. So this coffee station of yours, this is your oasis of calm in your house. Is this
Yes.
in the kitchen or is it in a different part of the house?
So it's traveled with me actually. So in South Africa, it was in my dining room,
Hmm.
and my husband actually, I found this beautiful ornate frame, and I asked him to put shelves in it so I could display all my beautifully colored, because I love color, all my
Hmm.
colored mugs, um, and it was on a very kind of antique cabinet. It was just exquisite with an orchid on the side. So it was really a Pinterest.
This sounds really nice.
It was really nice. Now, anybody could use it. I don't mind. I didn't mind cleaning the machine, but they weren't allowed to abuse it. So use, do not abuse. Now
Hmm.
it's sitting in the kitchen for now. It will go into my lounge probably, because it's just such a beautiful accessory. I
Hmm.
do want to get a really nice coffee machine, but I'll save up for that one. Um, yeah, because I love coffee.
You see,
So
when you said about your coffee machine and no one else is allowed to touch it, to damage it, to invade your neat area, it reminded me of what British families were like in the 70s and 80s, where in a lot of British households there would be a room that no one was allowed to go in.
we
Now,
had one of those rooms.
yeah, usually it was a dining room. There was a dining
Yes.
table in there. It was set up for best, and never used it.
Yeah.
Is that normal for people to have? Usually the house is an
Um,
explosion of chaos, but
I
there's one room that's good.
No, not that I've seen, and I don't think it's healthy either to have a room. I think you should have the whole house to fit in with your lifestyle. The whole
Hmm.
house. I mean, it's my little quirky thing to have one little station, but they are allowed to use it. And my kids make me coffee. They love making me coffee. But
Oh, you've
they
got them
so
trained, haven't you?
sorry.
You've got them trained.
I do have them trained. They cook too.
Wow.
And the little one folds his clothes. He loves
There-
folding clothes
There's,
with me. He's 6.
you're joking. There's got to be some sort of. You should be writing a book on this if you haven't already. How to get your kids to be perfect.
Oh, they're far from perfect. And
But they make you coffee and fold their own clothes. This is incredible.
no, not the older one.
Oh,
The older
oh right.
one, I
Okay.
mean, I've just recently colored my hair, but I owe him most of my grey hairs. The older one is like carbon copy of his dad, which I love,
Of
but he's
course.
the artist. He's the second artist in the family. He can't close anything. He can't. He's in such a rush. He doesn't close things.
Yeah. Well,
So
time's precious. You haven't got time to close things.
no, he's too busy, wrecking the other parts of the house. But yeah, no, I don't think. I think it's also a cultural thing, but I also think it's a time, like after the war, basically, a lot of people didn't have things, and it was common for them to store stuff and to hoard stuff and to hoard stuff basically. And I think that's kind of evolved into a different kind of hoarding. And also I think because it's so easy to buy cheap stuff now, which again I don't judge. I mean, I personally dislike certain. I'm not even allowed if I'm. I don't even know if I'm allowed to mention, but I
Go
dislike
for it.
certain, like Timu. You can
Timu.
edit. You can edit that out if you want.
No, fine,
But
that's fine. Timu, yeah.
I just feel it just perpetuates this like need to shop. Like I had a client and she was buying all the stuff from there. It was killing me. But of course I couldn't say anything to her because it's her taste or she wants it or whatever. But then when she got a few things that were broken, I said, well, now you need to return them. And she goes, oh, it's so cheap, I'll just chuck it. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So I think the way that the world has evolved into this like consumerism and instant gratification is not helping. It's feeding us, and this like dopamine kind of rush that we get from buying something, which my son has, by the way. So good luck to me. He loves it. He loves to spend money. Even if I say no, you can't buy that something. Because well, what do you want? I'll buy you something. And I'm like, no, it's just. And that's the tough part is bringing, I think, kids up in this world where there's all this instant gratification. They can just get things. But in the past, things were precious, and perhaps that's why they had these rooms, and they also had perhaps a lot more guests coming. I don't know. They entertained a lot more in those years, and so they needed that one room where they could host their guests.
It could be as well because we didn't have social media back then. So
Exactly.
yeah, you weren't taking pictures of your house and your holidays and putting them online. You had to
Yes.
show people what your life was
That's
like when you
so
came round. And this is my perfect environment. So but essentially that's your Instagram room. If they had
exactly, and it was
Instagram at the time, which they didn't. Yeah.
and it was a status thing back then. I think
Mm.
the good furniture and whatever. We had in South Africa actually. So both my parents are Greek, and we had a lounge that we weren't allowed to go into as kids unless the guests came. We had a separate lounge, like a family room that we all sat in. But that lounge was like, I mean, I think they traumatized me because I was terrified of that lounge. We had the piano there. Now, I mean, I would never practice the piano because I was just so scared of that room. I don't know. Yeah, because it wasn't lived in. But the thing is that your house is like, it shouldn't be your museum. It should be your home. And so you paid for it, you're paying for it, you're renting it. This is where every single room needs to have a character and you need to enjoy it. Life's too short not to enjoy a room. I've recently inherited stuff from my mom, just cups and saucers and whatever, and she and crystal glasses which we never used growing up because they were for the guests.
Yeah.
And it's also about your what's the word I'm looking for? It will come to me, but you kind of get stuck on that idea that you're not allowed to use these crystal cups. And then the other day I thought, so what if they break? Like, it will be a shame. Of course, I'm going to look after them, but I mean, it's my mom's. I'd love to use them,
Yeah.
rather than just put them in the cupboard
Yeah.
and
They are
then
made.
not
They're
use
made
them.
to be used. They're made to
Yeah,
be used and enjoyed. Yeah.
exactly. And they're beautiful. And am I really doing any justice to the artist who created them? His vision for the purpose, like you say, everything needs to have a purpose. So use them. Use them wisely, be careful with them. And if they break, it's heartbreaking. And then save up money and buy something really good.
Because
That's what I try to do.
if you don't, it reminds me of something the comedian David Mitchell said on the show "Would I Lie to You?" And he was talking about having bric-a-brac in the house, and he was talking about a Toby jug that he put into a cupboard. And the line he said was, "It's comforting to know that someone's going to have to deal with that when I die."
I know.
And that's what it's
I mean,
for.
that's hysterical. It is funny. But there's a whole thing now called the Swedish Death Clean.
Swedish Death Clean.
Yes, it's quite popular. Again, I'm so bad with names. I'm not exactly sure who wrote this book. I think it's like a Norwegian or some Scandinavian, because they're very much into their minimalism and whatever. And it's actually very interesting because baby boomers should really consider what they are going to leave when they're gone. Because I mean, we all there's one guarantee in life, and that's that you're not going to live forever. Not yet, anyway, thankfully. And and so, what are you doing when you are leaving this earth and leaving all your stuff for your family to deal with? So it kind of gives you a guideline on how to prepare for your own death. I know it sounds gruesome, but it's not. Because I think it's quite nice because you have things that are dear to you, but they may not be dear to the people who will find them in your home. So leave notes, say this is very dear to me because, or this is worth something, you should sell it, or I'd really like for this to go to my older son, because it's another thing when you just assume as a person that when you die everything's going to be all hunky-dory and everyone's going to get along and kumbaya and cry for you. But actually I've seen a lot of families and it causes huge feuds between the families. Well, mom said that ring was mine, or let's just sell everything because I need the money. So if you plan and you actually make a list of everything that you own and where it should go or what it's worth, or even put stickers on it or whatever, I know it sounds morbid, but it's really not. And actually, it's such a loving and caring thing to do for people that you care about, because when you pass away, they have to deal with the emotional side of things. And very often they're going to get somebody just to clear the house. And those little treasures that your parents might have had for whatever reason are just going to get lost. So it is just a way of thinking ahead. It's not really, it sounds a lot more morbid than it actually is.
Yeah, because we were talking before we started recording that I bought a house last year, and it was from somebody that's gone into an Alzheimer's home, and his daughter, he had one daughter and she lived quite far away, and she didn't want to come and empty the house. I don't know whether it was painful memories or it was just too far, but there was stuff left in the house when I bought it. Like there were loads of school photos of his daughter and his grandkids, and there were golf trophies, there was a golf bag. All of his stuff that he'd accumulated throughout his life was still there in display cabinets, and it was really depressing to see, because you think, well, that could be me in hopefully in 50, 60 years, but probably a lot sooner than that. And that's someone's whole existence just then taken by a house clearance company and disposed of. It's horrible.
So I've started thinking a lot about it as well, like my photographs are very dear to me, but are they dear to somebody else? And you actually do get, I don't do this yet, but you do get professionals that actually digitize your photographs, or I think it's important to do. I do love to have kind of photographs to have a look at, but honestly, they're just sitting in a little cupboard, and then what am I, what's going to happen when I'm not here anymore, and I've got two boys. I don't even have girls, I've still got my mom's tapestries in the loft because she spent so much time. She put so much love in her tapestries. It's just not my kind of thing. I don't want them hanging around my house, but I can't bring myself to give them away. So I think it's important, and I think it's helpful that that girl, I mean, she might even regret it, right? Because when you've just lost somebody, you have to deal with the emotions of it. And sometimes the quickest way to do it is just to get rid of everything. And I know she hasn't lost anybody because her dad's still alive, but when somebody's got Alzheimer's or dementia, because my dad had it, you lose them twice.
Yeah.
You lose them. The first time you lose them is when they don't know who you are anymore. And then obviously when they pass away, you lose them again. So it is a very traumatic, emotional experience. Whereas if he had planned it, let me just give you an example, because this permeates to everything, okay? So I'm quite a late bloomer. I got married late. I had kids late. But when I was in my 30s, I went to the gynecologist and I said, right, so what happens if I don't meet somebody like I want to see? What options do I have? Can I freeze my eggs? Can I whatever? And she says, no, you're too old. You should have thought of that when you were 25. And I'm thinking, well, which 25-year-old thinks about things like that, So like at the age, I'm 50, how old am I now? 51. Can't believe I'm 51. I still feel like I'm 31. But at the age of 51, I'm hopefully nowhere clear to like expiration date. But I do have to consider that these things are happening and they're inevitable and we're getting older. And I will make it easy for my kids when I'm gone because I don't think it's fair for them to have to deal with all my clutter. And everyone's got cluttered. I don't care how neat you are, you all have those things that you're not willing to part with. Like my wedding dress. Why am I keeping it? Because I want
yeah,
to.
as you say, we keep stuff that we're never going to use. It's
No,
too important to us,
no,
but we couldn't get rid of it. But eventually, somebody's just going to throw it in a skip.
exactly. Or, but if you preserve it and look after it, they could possibly sell it, or they could give it to somebody who could use it, or they could donate it to somebody who can't afford a wedding dress. So if you're going to keep it, it's fine, but make it part of your house. Like my wedding dress is in this beautiful white box. It's just beautiful, and I'd never open it, but I know it's there, and it makes me smile. And one day somebody is just going to pull it out, and it's going to be impeccable, and somebody else is going to be able to use it. Hopefully, I'm just not ready to let it go now, but. And by that stage it will be vintage and even more, So
To address the elephant in the room, so I've not brought it up yet, I'm quite the hoarder. I've got a lot of stuff. Over this last year since I've moved into a new house of my own, due to divorce, I've been selling a lot of stuff that I've collected over the years. And I've done about $3,500 worth of stuff on eBay I've sold. But I've still got a hell of a lot to get rid of. And I have a room in my new house. It's a 3-bed house. I've got one. It's a box room, but it is, let's just say it's full. If I was playing Tetris, that is a complete lockout. Do people, because we talked about people having a perfect room in their otherwise normal house, let's flip it the other way. Is there many people do what I do, where they have an attempt at a normal house, and then there's one room where just everything is shoved in and the door is shut behind it, and never open that because it's all going to fall on you if you open that door?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
Oh, good.
it
So I'm more
depends on
normal than I thought.
that. Some people have a drawer,
A drawer? No.
just a drawer,
A drawer, amateurs.
yeah, amateurs
Oh, the man
exactly.
drawer, like the man drawer, where all the wires and the batteries go in, and the remote controls for things
Yes,
you don't know what they're for, but you can't get rid of it in
exactly.
case you need it. Yeah.
We don't have one of those. It drives
Yeah.
me insane. But we do. Everybody has a room, a space where it's just a mess. Whether it's a loft or a room, but you're fortunate enough to have a 3-bedroom house and you can afford to have that room. And sometimes it's okay because then the rest of the house is livable and comfortable. And it's okay. Why not
Mostly.
if you have the room? You're actively doing something about it. You're selling, you're making money. I encourage people to sell if they've got the time and if they have the space. Because if I'm going in and you don't have the space, then do you really have the luxury of sitting and selling? Because it takes a lot of time and
It
effort.
does. It
But if
does.
you do have the time, then sell and then maybe work towards something. Like I had a client who had so many shoes and she bought a mannequin. She was brilliant actually. She bought a mannequin and she would take these beautiful photographs and she put it on Vinted. And then I could see from going into the house that they loved traveling, her and her husband absolutely loved it. So I said, well, here's a jar for you and whatever cash you get, just put it in there, and then you guys can go on holiday, which is exactly what they did. So now all of a sudden you've got an additional purpose to kind of encourage you to sell stuff. Just not just because you want your house to look good. So after I helped her, I said, now you can do this on your own. You've got the mannequin, sell it. And she did, and they went on holiday. I mean, I can't remember where they went exactly, but it doesn't matter where they went. The fact is that they saved enough from stuff that they were never going to use again, that was taking up space, stressing them out, and they got to go on holiday. I mean, how perfect is that? So I was very excited for her.
Yeah, it's
And
good
she,
to have a goal that you're selling it for. One
yeah,
thing, because you're the person to ask this. As I say, I am a bit of a hoarder, and I do occasionally a room gets out of control, and then I try and tidy it up again. Mess does depress me. Yeah, I have too much stuff. Why is clutter depressing?
I think it's a sense of not being in control. So it's the same as, I mean, I don't know how to explain it. So, for example, right, you develop websites or your company does.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going onto, so you want to hire somebody, but you want to just feel comfortable that they know what they're doing. So you go onto their website and it's just cluttered and everything is all over the place. And immediately you're going to just say, I'm not dealing with that person because obviously they're just all over the place. I think it's a reflection of who we are as people, our surroundings. And when there's too much stuff, there's not enough us and there's not enough control. So I think maybe the website analogy is easy for you to understand
I
because
like
that's what
that.
you do.
You're right, actually, because a good a good efficient website has a lot of space, a lot of white space. If it's got too much clutter, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do. But a
Exactly.
perfect website, it's easy to know what to do. So
Everything's
if
there. It's got just as
yeah,
many things maybe, but everything has its place and a
yeah.
logical place. So
Because a website
it's
has a function. The function is to get leads or to make sales for the business. It's not to look nice. It's not to look pretty. It's not to tell a story. It's to take inquiries or to take sales. Like Amazon is flawless. You go onto Amazon, you can buy something with a click of your thumb. You don't even need to input your card details. Just
it's
bang,
crazy.
because it just
It's
works. It's just that's the best type of website. It's got space, it's fluid, it's very easy to use. You don't have to think, how do I inquire about this product? How do I inquire about this service? It's just, oh yeah, there it is. Lovely, simple, nice and easy to use.
exactly
Whereas a cluttered website, very difficult to use, very stressful for the person using it, doesn't work.
clunky and yeah, and it just doesn't give you that feeling, And I think sadly again, and I mean I don't want to sound all, doom and gloom, but we have too much and I think we lose focus of stuff that actually gives us happiness. And so again, you get that dopamine, you buy something, it makes you happy, but it doesn't last. So you buy the next thing and it doesn't last and you have to have the latest phone. And there's nothing wrong with having stuff. There's nothing wrong with spoiling yourself. But it's just also keeping a balance between what you need, what you really need, and what you think you need. And also going on, I fall into that trap where I go in and I see this amazing advert and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really, really, really need it. It would change my life. Will it really? Because I've had to tell myself, okay, just stop, back away from the vehicle, back away, do something else, come back to it, and or leave it for 2 weeks. Did you really need it? Could you function without it? Do you really need it? Honestly, I mean, it's difficult because I have to, I mean, because my other side of my brain says, oh, but you do really need it. And I'm so
Yeah.
convincing. I'm so convincing. And then I have to bring my other side to argue. I mean, it's a perpetual dialogue that happens in everybody's brain. And and I think for me, my saving grace, I think naturally I'm just organized. It's just something that I have. But the more time I spend with clients, the more I can see how negative it is to have all the stuff around you. It
Yeah.
really doesn't serve a purpose. And sometimes I'm ruthless. I'm a lot more ruthless than I used to be. My husband loves it because even though he's an artist, he's also a priest, so he's a minimalist. So
He's an
we
artist
tried,
and a priest.
yes, he's a priest.
Wow.
So we've downscaled. I
Yeah.
mean, people with 2 kids hardly ever downscaled, but we've downscaled. And I always tell ladies, the bigger the bag, the more rubbish you have in it. That's just a fact. And half the stuff you don't need, it just becomes heavier and heavier and heavier. But if you've got a smaller bag, all of a sudden you have to think a little bit more practically about what it is that you need. I love it. It's just
I find that with my laptop bag. Laptop, charger cable, that's it. It's nice and light, it's good to carry. And then over the course of a month, I'll pick up a USB cable, I'll pick up a HDMI cable, I'll pick up 30 business cards from people, there'll be a carrier bag, there'll be some brochures, some leaflets. And it's, why is this so heavy? And then I'll open it and go, what's all this crap? Why have I got all this in here? Back to just the laptop and the charger cable. That's all I need. That's nice and manageable again. But it just
Yeah.
keeps reverting back. My car's the same. Every now and then I'll just wipe everything out of my car and think that's beautiful. Back seats are clear. Boot, because it's a Land Cruiser. Boot is really clear. Wonderful. Right now, it's full of crap again. There's paint tins in there. There's a portable heater in there for some reason. I don't know why.
No, you have to know why you have a portable heater in your car.
I'm meant to be throwing it out because I used it for the house renovation. It's covered in plaster dust and stuff, so I just want to bin it. But it's still in my car. I've not binned it yet because I haven't got to the skip. But this stuff just accumulates. It gets with us over time, and then we get really stressed about it, and then you throw it all out again, and it's like, oh, that's much better. It's much better. It's strange how it affects your mentality. We talked about social media earlier. It's the same. Social media, there's too much noise. And it makes you depressed.
It's too much. Even trying to run a business, it's too much. Sometimes I have to tell myself, okay, just go for a walk. It's just too much, and you're multitasking all the time. But it's very normal to have whatever's happening with your car, and your laptop bag. That is normal because people often expect their house to be perfect, and once they fix it, that is it. It doesn't work that way, because we all buy stuff and we all live and we all have weeks where we're so tired we don't want to put our shoes where they belong, and so you do have sometimes when you got less energy than other times, or some seasons that are a lot more busier. Like this season is just crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Like Christmas and I can't believe it's nearly Christmas. It's just blowing my mind. But it is, and you've got maybe other priorities, and then it's kids at the school, and then they've got their nativity play. So it just gets all jumbled, and it's okay as long as everything has a place that it lives, because then instead of you going into your environment saying, oh my gosh, what a mess, it's going to take me 4 hours, 4 days, 4 weeks, it's okay, I can do this in an hour because actually this cable lives here. It's just like lost its way, and everything goes back to where it's supposed to be.
But that's okay though, if everything has a place. I've got so much stuff in my house. There's things that don't have a place. I don't know where to put them. Is that at the point where somebody needs to think, right, actually, I need to do something about this. I need help from somebody like you?
I think so. And if you don't have the time, because it doesn't mean that you can't do anything, that you can't do this by yourself. But for example, and again, I always use analogies, we are good at what we do for a reason. And it's okay to ask somebody else for help and get help for something that they do. Like I cannot do my own website, I can't make it link to my whatever. I don't know. I don't even know the jargon. So I'm going to get somebody to help me with the website, because why must I waste all that time and energy where I could be doing what I'm good at, right? So for example, I know that if I go to gym and I train hard, I'm going to lose weight, but I'm lazy. So why don't I invest and pay a personal trainer, not because I can't do it myself, but I need the accountability just to get me in the right kind of frame so that I can maintain it as a lifestyle. So an organizer is not going to come in and fix everything for the rest of your life, but maybe you need that person for accountability. Some professional organizers, I haven't done a virtual session, but some do it virtually because why? That person just needs the accountability, just needs somebody to hold their hands. They're very capable. Most of my clients are very capable, except for the ones who are physically can't, they've got mobility issues or whatever, and they need me to physically carry stuff. So yes, I do believe that if it stresses you out for a long period of time, and if you're not getting on top of it, maybe you just need a bit of help. The nice thing is that I'm part of an association called APDO. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, I've not, no.
The Professional Organization of Declutterers and Organizers. So you can actually go in there, put your code, your postcode, and it can actually pull up professional organizers around you. I love being part of this crowd because we all work together. It's a very lonely thing to work for yourself. As a founder of Tidy by KV, I don't have colleagues, and I'm so used to working at offices with colleagues. I love people, but being part of this organization means that I have backup, I have support, and if I go to a client and I don't know how to help them with a certain thing I've never encountered before, I just chat to them and we help each other. So there's a lot of help out there. If you have certain neurodiversities. There's different people that excel at certain issues like hoarding disorders or whatever. I mean, I don't have a preference. I'll help anybody who wants my help. I really don't mind. But it's there's an organization. It's crazy. I didn't realize this until I started looking into it, obviously.
Yeah. How do you help someone decide though what stays and what goes? That's the bit I've always struggled with. I was sorting through some clothes the other day, for example, and I had a load of clothes that didn't fit me anymore, where I've always put them back in the bag or in the spare room and said, well, I'm going to get into those one day when I lose weight. Let's be honest, that's not happened for about 4 years. But then I've thought, actually, I'm never going to wear them again anyway because I don't like them. So I put them in a pile where I don't want them. And then there's a couple of shirts I've got that are really expensive, really nice, but they don't fit. And I think, well, I don't want to get rid of them because I might lose weight and get into those again. At what point should you be saying, do you know what? Just do it. How do you make that call?
I think it depends on the person again, and I guide people. I don't tell them you need to. So for me personally, if I don't wear something for a year, then I really have to consider that it's not something that I'm ever going to wear again. Okay. Now, for example, there's certain things that go in and out of fashion. And if you really love those jeans, but they're no longer in fashion, keep them because fashion has a way of rotating and coming back again. Yeah. If you've got something that you wear for like, I don't know, special events like weddings or whatever, keep it. You know, and now we're in we create our own fashion. So I don't follow anybody else's fashion. I like to wear whatever it is that I like. But if you haven't worn something for a year and you're doubtful, just get rid of it. Those expensive shirts, if you think you're going to fit into them again, they don't take up a lot of space. You fold them nicely and you put them somewhere that you can see them often enough to try them on every now and again, but sell them on Vinted if they're not going to fit. The clothes that you know you don't like, just give them away. Just donate them. You know, just do it. Like maybe pick a day out of the month and say, right, today's the day. You know, and give yourself a deadline like you do with everything else. You know, and I'm sure when you run a successful business, you need deadlines. And if you don't make those decisions, it's just going to accumulate and then you're not going to actually get anything done. So, and it's just stuff. Unless you have some emotional connection to it, which makes it a little bit more difficult, it really is just stuff. And the worst case scenario is that you might regret it. Is it really that bad? Unless it's like a family heirloom and, you know, or you could have sold it or whatever, but it's just stuff. If it's expensive, think about it, sell it. I'm not saying to donate everything, but also I think the pleasure of knowing that somebody else is getting some use out of it instead of it sitting in your wardrobe and just sitting there and then you don't have space for new stuff.
I've heard someone say, and I can't remember who it was, that you should hold an item and think, does this give me joy?
It's Marie Kondo.
Right, that'll be it. Yeah.
Try that with my husband. All his books give him joy.
You held your husband and thought, does he give me joy?
No, don't hold my... yeah, it gives me joy, so I'm hold. But he's got so many books, and I always tell him, Marie Kondo says you must hold it, and it does not work with everyone. Also, Marie Kondo is a perfectionist, I think. She's amazing. I actually went to a show in London. I think it was 2 weekends ago. It was called Home, Life and You, and she was one of the celebrities there. She is phenomenal. She is amazing. But I don't see her ways of doing stuff helping my clients. It's very different. But yeah, I guess if you're not going to wear it, but if you hold your shirt and it makes you feel a certain way, I don't know, my clothes don't make me feel a certain way. They don't give me joy.
I don't feel that from clothes, no.
Yeah, so I suppose depends on what you treasure, you know, if you're going to, I don't know. What do you like? What are your hobbies?
I've got, Jesus wept, I've got a lot of collections of stuff like this. It's
okay.
It's Transformers, plastic dinosaur.
Oh, yeah. And how does it make you feel when you hold it?
Oh, this one, lovely. I like this one.
Well, there we go.
But the problem was, every time new stuff came out, I would buy it, and I would keep it in the box, put it in on a shelf, or put it in a cupboard, and go, I'm going to open that next week or next month. I'm going to open it, and I had stuff for years and didn't open it. And I sold one recently on eBay that was still in the box that I bought in 2007. Yeah. I didn't open it. I sold one that I bought for 30 quid, sold it for 180 quid on eBay
Well, there
because
we go.
it went ridiculously up in value, and you can only get it in the United States. So I don't know how I got hold of it, but some of it goes for a lot of money, some of it doesn't. But I just ended up getting it because, as you said earlier, I need that. I need that. I haven't got it. I need it. And I'd go into a shop and say, oh, there's a new one now. I haven't got that. I need that. But I didn't want it. And I didn't open it. And I've got so many of them, which is why I started to get rid of them and just keep the ones I actually like. Just keep the ones I'm going to open. Or keep the smaller ones that take up less space and not the big ones that I'm never really going to display. I've got nowhere to put them. So just get rid of it. And that was the problem I was going through.
I think I also read somewhere recently that that's the difference between kind of stepping towards the hoarding
Yep.
and being a collector, because a collector will have all the items and they will display them with pride. But if you're just buying and putting stuff away, then it's not because you're not investing in something that makes you happy. So then you have to look at, why are you buying those things? What is it? What is it doing? Is it that instant gratification, or is there a deeper rooted issue? Is it something that happened recently that you feel like you need to focus on something else? So, these things take time to analyze, and the best person to analyze them is yourself. But sometimes you just need help to kind of click and say, hang on a second. I don't want this. I don't need it anymore. It doesn't serve a purpose. I want to get rid of it. But at least you made money out of it, so that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But most of them I made money on. Some of them I made a lot of money on. There's only a few that I lost a bit of money on, but I'm well up overall. But yeah, it is a case of just looking at what I've got and saying, do I need that? No, I don't. Does it give me joy? No. Do I want it? Not really.
So it's a very basic way of looking at things the way Marie Kondo does it. And I do think it's nice because I think it gives you the power, even though you're getting rid of something. I think what she's trying to say is, it is something that you bought it for a reason. It's got a value, maybe monetary or maybe emotional, or maybe at that point of your life, whatever, you were in university and that was the in thing and everybody had to have. And maybe you do hold it because by holding it, you reconnect maybe with that relationship or the thought or the emotion. And if it's no longer there, it means you've outgrown it, or it doesn't serve a purpose anymore. So and I think that's where she's coming from. So it is very effective.
Yeah, because some things will be tied to memories, tied to experiences, and that will mean something to you. Like if you bought a T-shirt at a particular concert, it might not fit you anymore, but every time you look at it, it reminds you of that concert. It reminds you of going there. That's okay. But if
It's
you've got
okay.
50 T-shirts you bought on sale because the BBC was doing an online store shutdown sale and they're all Doctor Who, none of them fit you and you haven't worn any of them, and most of them still got the labels on, what's the point?
Give them away or reuse them, cut them up, use them as rags, whatever it is that you want to do, clean your car with them. But yes, let them serve something. I think it's a waste. And I think if we are going to look at objects as obviously they don't have feelings, but maybe something that somebody has created and they're supposed to have a purpose. And actually, a very interesting, there's another priest, a Ukrainian Orthodox priest actually, that said to me, but what is your purpose? Oh, sorry, I can't do the accent
Can't do
properly.
the accent.
So I'm like, huh? So I said, I don't know. And actually, if we take time to think about what is our purpose, it seems so simple, but it's not. It really kind of opens up to all sorts of other, interesting questions about who we are and where we're coming from, where we came from. So I think maybe that's what Marie Kondo was saying. It had a purpose. Has it served its purpose? Does it need to go? So that's what I tend to do with my clients. I'm going to say, okay, I'm not telling you. I never tell anybody throw it away. I can suggest and say, personally, I would give it away because, and then I would tell them why. I said, but it's yours. So are you going to wear it again? Are you going to give it to your, I don't know, your niece? If you're going to give it to your niece, let's get a bag. Let's label it stuff for my niece because I love her. If you're going to give it to charity, let's get a bag and then at the end of the session, I make sure those bags get action. So if it's for charity, I will take them away because even though it's not essentially what I I started doing, I thought I'm not going to take stuff for charity because I don't charge for that. And then it takes me forever. And then charities can also be quite tricky sometimes.
Some can
And
be
quite,
picky on what they
oh
take.
my gosh, I didn't realize it. Anyway,
Mm.
but I feel that if I leave it there, if they already have an issue of giving stuff away, they're going to might change their minds. And while I'm gone, they might think, oh, let me just look at it again. And then it just lands up, the whole 3 hour session's been for nothing. And then when I take it away, it gives more space because now that bag is not there anymore. And by seeing more space, they feel like a load has been lifted off them. And
Yeah.
then most of the time they're excited about the next session because they can physically see something has changed, something has shifted, and now they can sit on the couch and there's that like whole pile of mess is not there anymore. So what I do is when I go into a client's house, I'll ask her or them, where do you spend most of your time? Like where's your little place that you would want to relax? Should we start here first? Or what is stressing you out the most? Let's tackle that first. And that's different for every client.
Yeah.
But I've never had a negative experience. I've never had somebody that hasn't been thankful and hasn't had some kind of a positive impact going forward. And then there's some people that I tell them I can't help you more, and I think you need to speak to somebody because you're really struggling with certain things. And I think it's your first step to the deeper reconnecting and discovering and helping yourself. So a lot of them you might recommend to go see a therapist, but you've now established that relationship that they trust you enough to say, okay, I think I'm open to that, or I think you have a drinking problem and I think you really need to go into
How
rehab.
did you know? Oh, right. So hypothetical.
Well, we all have something. That would be funny, wouldn't it?
Well,
But,
you've inspired me now to have another pass at the 5 bags I think I've got of clothes in that box room to go through those because I gave a load of stuff to the Hospice of the Good Shepherd a couple of months ago. I need to do more. Christmas is a good time to give them stuff, I think, because people will be going in there. So I will do that again. And we are out of time now, believe it or not. So
no, I'm shocked. I actually said to my husband, how am I going to speak for an hour?
it's easy. It's easy. So for anyone listening to this thinking, oh my God, I need this woman's help, what is the best way for them to contact you?
Oh, I've got a website that's got all my details there. And they could go onto the ABDO website as well and just put in their postcode, and that will give them all organizers wherever they are. Because I'm based in the Wirral, and I do travel to North Wales. I actually have a lot of clients in North Wales, and I love driving to Wales, except for all the fines I get. Oh my gosh, they are so strict. Jeez. Anyway,
Don't talk to me about car fines.
I can talk another hour about yeah. So if they go onto my Tidy by KV website, all my information's there, and I'll be more than happy even just to chat to them and see if that's something that they're interested in.
Okay.
And help them.
I will put a link to both those websites you mentioned below the podcast in the description on YouTube and in the show notes on iTunes, Audible, Spotify, and that. So anybody listening to this, just scroll down. You can click on that and go straight away to the website to get in touch with Korina. Korina, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, and good luck. Let me know if you need help.